If you are looking for an affordable professional studio flash that you can carry with you everywhere, it may be the flash that you're looking for. For the picture that I had the pleasure to shoot with Mei Lee, a very nice model that you can see normally just right here. I'll show you of course the pictures. It was a nice shooting once again. I think I need to try to shoot outside of Euljeolo district in Seoul because I only spend my time here and my pictures will look all the same at some point. But I'm happy with the pictures. So first I had the idea of like a very straight, bold kind of shooting with like industrial background in the street with her being very straight with like a narrow framing 1.1 or 4.3, something like this, and I end up having the picture that I was looking for. We are talking here about a 200 watt flash that you can carry in your bag extremely easily. It comes as well with a bag that you can have to carry it with you if you don't have enough space in your bag. You have the thing to recharge, one battery, the anchor, I don't know how to say in English exactly for this kind of stuff, but very steady and very good quality. And something you're gonna have to buy separately is the remote trigger, the Q Pro from NEEWER, that you have to match with your camera. I have Nikon, so I have the NQ Pro. It's always good to have this instead of carrying your stuff around and having a chance to break it. As I told you, we are talking here about a 200 watt power in such a little body. If I want to talk just about the quality of the product, but the quality is okay, and if you compare it for the price, it becomes very good. And even if it looks pretty light in the plastic, I can tell you it's pretty rough. As you can see here, I dropped it from the height of the tripod, so more or less like 1.5 meter, and the flash was still working perfectly. So it looks like even with some accident, you can still trust this pretty well. I was also using octagonal reflector. I tried with and without grid to see the difference. I just didn't want the light to spread too much. The hard part here was that I also wanted some light coming from the background, so I had to shoot at like 130, 160 out of a second and between 400 and 800 ISO, and I was trying to stay at f4 to be as sharp as possible on my picture. So it's always like a mix that you have to find during your shooting if you prefer to get a higher ISO and lose a little bit of dynamic range and having some grain, which can be fixed pretty easily with the software that I'm using. I'm using DxO Puro for this kind of specific situation, to get this flash at not the full power as much as possible, because I was at a slow speed. I was at 130 or 160 of a second, and I had to freeze the framing, because if you increase the power of the flash and shoot at full power, you will also have a flash that triggers for a longer time. So that's also one of the things you need to keep in mind when you use a flash. Try to use the lowest power as possible, otherwise the flash might be kinda slow and introduce some very weird motion blur on your framing. We are not going to talk too much in details about every mode that this flash has, but as always you will have everything you need, which is the manual mode, the multi-mode and the TTL mode. So it can cover pretty much everything that you need. With the manual mode, you have here the setting that you can change with this dial that can adjust the power of the flash, and when you connect it to your camera and your camera is going higher than the flash sync, it goes directly into HSS, which sync the flash with your speed of your camera. You can even go up to 8,000 of a second, can cover pretty much everything if you want to still play with a nice bokeh on your picture. And I tried this during one of my shooting during the cherry blossom in Korea. So we went out with a model for shooting a few pictures and I'm very happy with it. I matched this with an umbrella Unfortunately for me, it was extremely windy these days, so that's why this flash dropped on the floor. The silver reflecting umbrella with a soft material in the front to get like as much soft light as possible. And on top of this, I had a black mist filter. I don't know how much, but like a pretty strong one, because I wanted, you know, this kind of dreamy look that you can get with those pictures outside, with like the sun coming from behind through the flowers, having something very pure. And use the flash just to get rid of some of the shades on the face of the model, and by just using the flash slightly against the sun, I could get those pictures. And at the end, I end up having exactly what I was looking for, which can give you an idea on how powerful the flash can be against the sun. One of the features that this kind of flash can give you is the prop light that you can activate or deactivate just by pressing one button. You can also change the temperature of this one, and if I go down to 3000, this is what it looks like with a very warm color. It's a flash, you got it, it does pretty much everything that other flash does, but for a very good price. And that's probably the strongest point that NEEWER is always bringing on the table, is to offer professional tools for people that has a small budget. And for all my pictures recently, I'm still using the Q4 that I reviewed on a previous video. I'm using it for professional shooting as well as this one to get a pretty good starting professional setup. We went around Gilo to different streets, the street that I know, the street that I wanted to shoot, and there's always a part of improvisation in the pictures because this place is always changing. The good thing is that at that time everybody is back home, so nobody's working, and you have the whole place for you for the picture. And then you need to find the places that will resonate the most with your model, and we tried a bunch of stuff. So as always, it's hard for me to just keep focusing on one idea, so we kind of change at some point. I used my 14-30mm to get more like wider weird effect on the model, having her like very distorted while using the flash. At the end, it's not exactly what I was looking for, something only straight, squared kinda. I got more weird kind of photography, but that's also something that I like to do, so it's part of the series at the end, and I like it this way. One of the sad thing for this kind of flash, but it's the same thing for every other brand, is that it's so compact that it doesn't come with the Bowens mount. The Bowens mount, for those who doesn't know, it's the mount that you can use to attach a bunch of different modifiers on your flash, and you cannot do it with this kind of flash because it's made to be transportable, and you need to attach some accessories. You can have some accessories to attach with magnet, different small modifier that you can attach here, so it can save you some time. But if you want to work with like bigger source of light, to have a big softbox, etc., it might be better to use this accessory. You can just attach this kind of flash by sliding it here, right there, lock it like this, and it offers you a Bowens mount just right there to attach any kind of modifier available on the market from different brands. It takes a lot of space, but it's probably worth to buy if you already have different modifier, or if you are aiming to get some other one. It's not too expensive, but of course it always adds more money to the budget at the end. One of the points also that I wish would have been a little bit different is that the only cable that you have for charging your flash is this one, and the flash clearly has been made to be used with the battery, and it's not made to be used when you plug it directly to the outlet, compared to the Q4, which can be used like a real studio flash. So the only thing is that I have this, that I have to attach to this charger to put the battery, but at the same time it brings us to a good point about this flash, that the battery is excellent. On paper, 700 shots at full power, and every time I used it, I never used the entire battery. During the last shooting, we went outside during maybe 2 hours, and I used something about like 30 or 40% of battery, something like this. Another maybe bad points that I had during my shooting, not last time when I used it by night, I didn't have any problem, but when I used it with the cherry blossom with the other model, it happened that the recycling time was not as fast as promised, and I still don't know the reason, so I had to wait a little bit for the recycling of the light, even though I was using the flash at like 164, 132. If I do it with you even at 1.8, so I don't know why it didn't work exactly as well for me, but once again during the last shooting it worked perfectly. It happened only one time and it was not a deal breaker anyway. You know, there is other brands that sells very similar kind of flash. They are all very good. At the end, when you test it, you realize that they are doing pretty much all the same thing, but Neewer is doing it for a better price. And me, I start to have a pretty much good setup with Neewer, so I feel like I'm going to be stuck with Neewer for a long time. And so far, after testing this flash, I'm pretty happy with this idea. If you try this or another one in the comments, I'll be happy to have your feedback as well, and I'll see you as fast as possible in another video. That was Antoine. Ciao.